What is up, guys? Luxray Guardian here, and I'm doing a BuddyFight review of the Lost Dimension for Future Card BuddyFight Ace. Here's the front of the box. It includes 82 cards and it explains everything you need to know about BuddyFight and Lost World on the back and what is contained. You can follow them on Facebook or subscribe to their YouTube channel. And they have an official website to where you can visit and see what other cards there might be and where you might be able to buy cards. There's also a deck list of what's in the first deck, the Dragon World deck, which is the deck you will play at the beginning, and the Lost World deck, the 30 card deck that you will change into in the middle of the game. Here is your life counter. You start off at 10 for every game, depending, unless you use a Kyoya Gaian deck to where he just has a lot of broken flags all in one deck. You start off with 10. Once you reach 0, so the blank space, that means you have lost the battle. Here is the Dragon World deck with 4 copies, and we'll start off with 4 copies of Dimension Dragon Lamargia. You have to pay 1 gauge and put the top 2 cards of your deck into its soul, and it has an active ability to where you can choose a monster and get rid of it by dropping a soul on your opponent's field. If your flag is Lost World, this card also gains triple attack and has the ability Soul Guard, period. This is Dimension Dragon Apostle. I always forget this part. Size 3, 7,000 attack, 7,000 defense, and 2 crit, by the way. This is Dimension Dragon Apostro. Size 3, 5,000 attack, 6,000 defense with 2 crit. When it is destroyed, choose 1 effect. You can either put 2 cards into gauge from your deck or gain 2, and you have 4 copies of him. Then the size 2 monster, Dimension Dragon Aplastos. Sorry, camera lights flashing. I have a ceiling light on at the moment. This card has 5,000 attack, 3,000 defense, and 2 crit with a call cost of 1 gauge. When entering the field, look at top 3 cards of your deck and put 1 Dimension Dragon or Lost World card from among them into your hand and put the rest into the drop zone. You have 3 copies of him. And then you have Dimension Dragon Paideia, size 1, 3,000 defense, 3,000 attack, 2,000 defense, and 2 crit. When destroyed, put up to 1 Dimension Dragon item into your deck, from your deck into your hand, and shuffle. You have 4 copies of him. Then Dimension Dragon Crymata. When this size 1 monster enters the field and there's another Dimension Dragon, draw a card. It has 3,000 attack, 1,000 defense, and 2 crit, and you have 4 copies of him. Then Dimension Dragon Alexi, size 0, 3,000 attack, 1,000 defense, and 1 crit. At the start of each player's attack phase, put the top card of your deck into gauge and gain 1 life. So opponent's turn, put top card of your deck into gauge, gain 1 life, and so forth. You have 3 copies of him. Then Dimension Dragon Eskimos. When entering the field, if you have another Dimension Dragon, you gain 1 life for each. So this is a super useful heal card, especially if you're low on health and you have 2 Dimension Dragon monsters on your field. When you summon this guy, you gain 2 life. You can get rid of him again. You can get rid of him again if you have 4 of his copies in your hand, and you can summon him 3 whole times. 3 whole other times, if I remember. Just making sure that is actually a rule, because if it is not, I do not want to give someone misinformation. So if you do not think that is correct, please double check and leave any information in the comments below if I was incorrect about that. And you have 4 copies of him. Then you have Lost of D, a spell card. This card lets you put a Dimension Dragon from your deck into hand, or a Lost World from your drop zone into hand. So not from your deck. If you have a Dimension Dragon monster that you really want it in your hand, or you just wanted it, period, like Lamargia, then this is useful for that, and you have 2 copies. So if you end up using 1 copy and you still have another, don't worry if you don't have Lost World, because you can just use the other one to get that, or just wait for yourself to draw. Then you have Dragonic Charge Plus, which is an upgrade version of Dragonic Charge, which would normally just let you add a certain number of cards into your gauge, and that's it. This one has an additional effect to where you can put 2 cards into your deck, into your gauge, then if your life is 5 or less, put 3 cards. That's first you put in 2, then you put in 3, so this is super useful if you have gauge heavy decks in Dragon World. Then there's Demon Lord's Roaring Breath. You pay 2 gauge, destroy all monsters on your opponent field, and draw a card for each one destroyed. Super destructive and super helpful for drawing the cards you need. Then you have Death Struggle. All you have to do is destroy a Dimension Dragon and rest the card on your opponent's field as a counter. And you have 2 copies of this card too. Then Blue Dragon Shield. This can only be cast on your opponent's turn, and if you have no monsters in your center. First, you nullify the attack, and then put the top card of your gauge into your deck. 4 copies of this. Then you have Green Dragon Shield. Same first effect as Blue Dragon Shield, except not only will it nullify the attack, you also gain life. You do not gain gauge whatsoever. Just 1 life. And now onto the spell card, Drago Trap. First, you pay 1 gauge and pay 2 life. This is super useful for Dragon World decks that increase your life, and is also good for counter attacks. Choose a card on your opponent's field, and for this turn, the chosen card cannot attack. Even if it has double attack, triple attack, quadruple attack, whatever number of attack, it cannot attack again. Unless you use a Gargantua deck, then that sort of nullifies the ability of this card. Well, it does nullify. Then you have the item, Dimension Spirit Gun, Krakia, if I believe so. It has an equip cost of 1 life and an act skill for a counter during your attack phase. Choose a Dimension Dragon on your field. You may rest this card. If you do, stand the chosen card and draw a card. And you have 4 of this. And now onto the Dark World, the Dark Flag, Lost World. You have 2 copies of this card, and here's Dragon World, by the way, the normal flag that has absolutely nothing interesting going on. So I'll just put that to the side. Lost World has an ability to where you cannot choose it as your initial flag, so you have to choose Dragon World as your initial flag or whatever flag you are using for the deck. And all flags may have up to 2 of this card in a deck. Just 2. It can't be 4, can't be 3, just 2. You may use Lost World cards. This card gets the ability of a flag chosen by Be Lost. Be Lost at the end of your opponent's turn. Choose one of your flags. You may pay 2 gauge. If you do, put this hand card on top of the chosen card. Remove your deck from the fight. Shuffle your Lost deck and put it into the fight. You can only be lost once per fight. So this is a one-time thing, because you only have 1 Lost World deck. And now, here we have the Lost World deck. And I'll actually show you what the back of a Lost World card looks like. All of these cards do have the exact same back, so you do not have to worry about that. It is just like the feature card BuddyFight back, except it turns dark and cracks everything. The red flames turn black, everything turns pitch black with nothing. And it has a very nice design, though. It's very interesting, and it's very cool. So, unlike normal decks, Lost World has a buddy thing. So if your buddy is from Lost World, that buddy must be face down until you switch to your Lost World deck. So once you change your deck with the Lost World flag card, you can flip your buddy over and reveal the monsters hidden inside. Not literally. Here is your buddy, Demonic Dragon Release Vanity Husk Destroyer, with no size, 30,000 attack, 10,000 defense, and 3 critical. When this card is on field, it cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. When this attacks, you can destroy or return a card to your opponent's hand on their field. And this card contains double attack. There are 5 copies of this. Then you have Whistle Fedwall Ungain. It's hidden because of the Ultra Pro sticker there, and I can't do anything about that, or it'll make a hole in the card sleeve. It has 80,000 defense, 80,000 attack, 8,000 defense, 8 crit, and no size. Lost Raiders have no size whatsoever in this deck, so you don't have to worry about size limit. This card takes 1 gauge and put the top card of your deck into its soul with the Soul Guard ability, and you have 4 copies of him. Then you have Hanokant Doff. Sorry, not Udoff, Doff. Once again, Ultra Pro sticker, so it's really hard to see. With 50,000 attack, 10,000 defense, 5 crit, once again, no size, and the Penetrate ability, to where you can attack the center monster, and if the attack goes through, you can also damage your opponent. So not only if they have a high defensive monster with about, I'd say, 10,000 defense, this will go through the defense, and not only that, it will deal damage to your opponent with a 5 crit hit. And you have 2 copies of that card. Then, once again, like I said before, you have 5 copies of your buddy, Demonic Dragon Release Vanity Husk Destroyer. Here are the other 4 copies. Then you have Zorkin. I really don't know. Yeah, Zorkin. With 20,000 attack, 6 crit, and 10,000 defense, no size, and the move ability, to where if it's on the right or the left side of the field, it can move to either one of those positions. Most likely, you'll be moving it to the center as a good defense with 10,000, since normal cards don't reach that high in power. And then you have the second most powerful card in the entire, compared to your buddy, second most powerful. Arpau, I swear these are German names or something. Arpau Paydual. Very confusing, hard to pronounce. With a 20,000 attack, 3 crit, 10,000 defense, no size whatsoever. Call cost just putting 2 cards from your drop zone into its soul and paying 1 gauge. It has the Penetrate ability, the double attack ability, Soul Guard, and counter attack. So if your opponent attacks this monster and it survives the battle, because of its Soul Guard, it can destroy a choosing monster, and because it has 10,000 defense, you'll most likely Link attack will be chosen, so you can destroy your opponent's strongest card. And you have 1 copy of him, sadly enough. Then you have Dugain Zash. I'm just gonna call it Zash, but it's the Scythe, I guess. 10,000 attack and defense, 2 crit, no size, like all of the other cards. You have to pay 1 gauge to summon to call. When it enters the field, nullify all abilities of a card on your opponent's field and destroy it, and it has the double attack. And down here, unlike the normal cards, for explaining like normal monsters, hold up, here it is, here's a card. Unlike it being on the top right, I forgot to explain this, unlike what it describes it is on the right, on the bottom left, it explains it right in the center at the bottom. And you have 2 copies of him. And here you have Dimension Livestream. So this, once again, just like the monsters, the explanation of what it is in the center of it, either in the middle or somewhere near the bottom. This Dimension Livestream allows you to choose and use one of the following 2. You may only cast it once per turn, and you only have 1 copy of this, so use it wisely. You can either gain 10 life when you're in a pinch, or you can make your opponent's life 10 if theirs is higher than yours. So you can either turn a really long battle into a really short one like that, or you can increase your life and last a lot longer than your opponent wanted you to. Then we have 2 copies of Dimension Revenge, and I'm going to put the cards down because it hurts my hands from the sharp points on this, sadly enough. You may call a monster from your drop zone, most likely a Dimension Dragon maybe. Okay, no, it does not. It does not specify what type. It is just a summon a monster from call a monster by paying its call cost, and for 1 turn, the turn you use this card, it gets +2 crit. So if you already have a high amount of crit, like Ungain with a 8 crit, and it's in the drop zone, and you call it using this card, that's a 10 crit power. Then you have the 2 Dimension Mirror, and as added for this Dimension Jamming. Dimension Mirror is a counter card like Blue Dragon Shield or Green Dragon Shield. Nullifying the attack. You can have no monsters in your center whatsoever, so it's useful in case your opponent destroys your center monster and is about to come in with another attack. Nullify the attack and deal damage equal to the total critical of all attacking monsters. So if it's a link attack of 10, and your opponent has 10 life and you have 10 life, and they're trying to do a 1-turn finish, you can change it around and end the game there. Then Dimension Jamming is a counter card. Your opponent chooses and drops 2 hand cards. You can only cast it once per turn, and once again, a use wisely card, just like Dimension Livestream, since you only have 1 copy. Then here we have Dimension Shadowgate. 2 of these cards is a counter card that allows you to choose a monster in battle and give it 100,000 attack and defense. A crazy amount of power, if I may say so, and not even a number of power if I believe Ozzy Dahaka could reach, depending on what version you're thinking of. And it can also gain the counterattack ability. So it also describes what the counterattack ability is. If the card is still on the field after being attacked, destroy a monster that attacked with defense less than or equal to this card's power. And because this gives it 100,000, you can destroy any monster on the field that attacked. And you have 2 copies of it. And here we have the set card Dimension Shadowgate. You can set it down and it remains on the field unless your opponent uses a skill. When you are attacked, your opponent may pay 1 life if they do not nullify the attack. So if your opponent's about 5 life and you're 10 and they want to at least get you down to 4, you have to pay a life for every time. So, depending on what abilities a monster has, they cannot double attack whatsoever unless they want to pay 2 life. And you have 2 copies of that. So, if you do a double whammy, I think you can do that. Once again, leave a comment down below if you think that is incorrect and tell me what you can actually do, because I'm really interested. So, I think you can do a double whammy, and that'll make them pay 4 life. And so, really put them in a pinch. And then you have the Lost Vader weapon item. Sorry. Vile Demonic Cannon Lost Mazer. I actually think I said that correctly. I really hope I did. Lostless Mazer. But Lost Mazer sounds cooler, so I'm just going to call it that from now on. It has the penetrate ability, just like Hanel Kent Doff, with 10,000 attack, 5 crit, penetrate ability. You're going to be dealing a lot of damage to your opponent in and most likely get a 1-turn kill without ever bringing your buddy out. And if you just want to be a little bit extra, you can even use your impact Carnage Destroy Blaster. And the best thing about this impact, requires no call cost and only one condition. Your opponent's life must be 5 or less. And this card deals 5 damage. So if your opponent's at 1 and they want to try and nullify that, it's kind of going to suck for them. Because even if they increase their life by about 4, or maybe even 3, it'll still finish them off. Unless they nullify the attack. Then, good thing is, you have 2 copies of this card. Just none of them are any shinies like your buddy. Super shiny. Anyway, that was my first Future Card BuddyFight review. Ace. But anyway, this is Luxray Guardian, signing out.